Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that constantly demands our attention, provokes our emotions, and tests our patience, the ability to maintain inner peace is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. The true battleground is not in the outside world, but within. What we allow to dwell in our thoughts shapes the quality of our lives. Therefore, the art of inner peace begins with mastering what we permit into our mental space. The mind is the central control center of your entire. Every thought, decision, and emotion begins there. When we speak of peace, we're not talking about the absence of noise in the world, but the presence of clarity and stability in the mind. This is why the mind must be treated as a gatekeeper. Its role is to decide what enters and what is allowed to stay. If we allow negativity, criticism, toxic opinions, and external stress to dominate our thoughts, our inner world becomes just as chaotic as the outer one. But if we train our minds to guard against harmful influences, we protect a priceless treasure, our peace. Your thoughts are the blueprint of your reality. The way you interpret events, the way you perceive challenges, and the way you respond to people. All these are determined by what you allow your mind to focus. Two people can go through the same situation and have completely different emotional outcomes simply because of how their minds processed the event. One sees loss, the other sees growth. One feels offense, the other practices forgiveness. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the mindset. This is why guarding your thoughts is not an act of denial. It's an act of wisdom. You're not pretending everything is fine. You're choosing to build a mental environment where peace can survive. Most people go through life with an open mental gate, allowing every opinion, every insult, and every stressful piece of news to walk right into their inner world and take a seat. They wake up feeling fine, but one comment, one headline, or one negative interaction completely disturbs their peace for the entire day. That's because the gate was left unguarded. There was no filter, no discipline, no awareness of how sacred the mind truly is. If you wouldn't let a thief walk into your home uninvited, why let toxic thoughts steal your inner calm? You must begin treating your mental space like a sanctuary. Just as a physical home needs order, cleanliness, and protection from intruders, so does your mind. Practicing awareness is the first step. You must become aware of what triggers anxiety, what people drain your energy, and what thoughts create fear or anger. With this awareness, you then begin to apply intention. You choose not to entertain every thought that enters. You learn to say, "This thought does not serve me," and let it go. You replace it with something rooted in truth, hope, or gratitude. The more often you do this, the more natural it becomes. It's also important to remember that peace is not something you wait for. It's something you create. It begins the moment you decide that your mental and emotional well-being is more valuable than winning arguments, proving points, or seeking validation. It begins when you realize that external events do not have the right to control your internal state, unless you give them that power. Every day you are offered the choice: protect your peace or surrender it, and that choice is made in the mind. Training your mind to be a guardian of peace requires consistency. There will be moments of failure. You will have days when negativity gets in, but even on those days you are not powerless. You can pause, you can reset, you can begin again. And every time you do, you strengthen the gate. You reinforce your boundaries. You deepen your discipline. Over time, your mind becomes not a battlefield, but a sanctuary, a place of calm that cannot be shaken by noise outside. This is the art of guarding the mind. This is the foundation of inner peace. Reactions often feel automatic, but they are not beyond our control. Many people believe that when someone offends them, criticizes them, or treats them unfairly, their emotional reaction is inevitable. But this belief is a misunderstanding of the true power we hold over our inner life. While feelings may rise suddenly, how we respond to them is always a choice. The ability to respond rather than react is one of the most important skills we can develop. And it is at the heart of maintaining inner peace. To react is to allow external circumstances or people to dictate your internal state. It is to be like a leaf in the wind, constantly at the mercy of whatever comes your way. One insult, one misunderstanding, one inconvenience can throw you into anxiety, anger, or sadness. This kind of living gives others too much control over your peace. But to respond is different. It means creating a pause between the stimulus and the action. It means stepping back mentally and emotionally and asking, what is the wisest, healthiest response to this moment? This pause is where your power lives. In that gap, even if only for a few seconds, you can redirect the course of your day. You can stop yourself from saying words you'll regret. You can choose empathy instead of resentment. You can walk away rather than escalate a conflict. This moment of conscious decision-making is what separates peaceful people from reactive ones. It doesn't mean you ignore injustice or suppress emotion. It means you channel your emotion through awareness and intentionality. One of the biggest myths people carry is the belief that being calm or non-reactive means you are weak or passive. In reality, it takes immense strength to stay calm when provoked, to remain still when challenged, and to speak gently when others speak. It takes maturity to think before you act, and discipline to remain unmoved by petty triggers. This is not weakness, it is mastery. You are not controlled by others, you are in control of yourself. Training yourself to respond rather than react requires time and self-awareness. You must begin observing your own patterns. What tends to trigger you? Is it disrespect? Is it being ignored? Is it criticism or impatience from others? Once you recognize the patterns, you can prepare for them. You can develop a response strategy in advance, like an emotional blueprint. This way, when the moment comes, you're not caught off guard. You've already rehearsed calmness. You've already decided how you will respond. Breath is a powerful tool in this process. When the urge to react rises, take a deep breath. Breath creates space. It slows the body and calms the nervous system, allowing the logical mind to take control before the emotional mind Sometimes just breathing for 5 seconds is enough to break the chain of impulsive reaction. In that short space of time, you can make a better choice. Another essential part of learning to respond wisely is understanding that not everything deserves a reaction. Silence can be powerful. Walking away is not cowardice, it is courage. Not replying to every insult is a sign of self-respect, not fear. When you learn that your energy is precious, you will stop giving it away to every emotional invitation that comes your way. You will choose your battles, and more importantly, you'll choose peace over pride. The ultimate goal is not to become emotionally numb, but to become emotionally intelligent. You feel everything, but you are ruled by nothing. You understand your triggers, but are not enslaved by them. You still experience anger, sadness, and frustration, but you express them in ways that build, not break. When you reach this place, no one can easily disturb your mind, because you have taken back the power to decide how your story unfolds, one mindful response at a time. Inner peace cannot survive in a mind without boundaries. Just as physical boundaries protect your body, mental boundaries protect your thoughts, emotions, and well-being. Too often, people allow others to invade their mental space, bringing in criticism, negativity, manipulation, or drama without resistance. They become emotional sponges, absorbing everything. But peace is not possible when your mind is a dumping ground for everyone else's issues, opinions, and projections. Mental boundaries are the invisible walls that say, this is where I end and you begin. This is what I accept and this is what I reject. Boundaries are not built out of crudity or coldness. They are built out of clarity. When you understand your value, your time, and your energy, you become more intentional about who and what you allow to influence your inner world. Not every conversation deserves your mental energy. Not every opinion needs to be taken seriously. Not every problem in someone else's life becomes your responsibility to solve. Learning this truth frees you from emotional exhaustion and opens the door to a more peaceful and centered life. One of the most powerful mental boundaries you can set is around your attention. Attention is a form of energy. Whatever you give it to grows. If you constantly give your attention to things that frustrate you, people who annoy you, or conversations that bring you down, your mind will become a reflection of that chaos. But if you learn to guard your attention, redirecting it to uplifting thoughts, creative pursuits, or silent reflection, you protect your peace like a gatekeeper, standing watch over a sacred temple. Another key aspect of mental boundaries is emotional ownership. This means taking responsibility for your own emotions, but not for the emotions of others. You are not responsible for how others feel, react, or perceive you. You can be kind, honest, and respectful, and still be misunderstood or criticized. That is not your burden to carry. Mental boundaries give you the space to say, this emotion belongs to them, not me. I don't need to internalize it. Without this boundary, you will constantly be hijacked by the moods and behaviors of those around you. Technology and media also test your mental boundaries daily. With so much information, opinion, and noise flooding your mind through screens, it's easy to lose control over your inner state. That's why setting boundaries around what you watch, read, and scroll through is essential. Not everything that's popular is healthy. Not every message is helpful. Protecting your peace means being selective with what you feed your mind, just as you are with what you feed your body. Relationships, too, are one of the greatest areas where boundaries are needed. There are people who will only bring stress, negativity, or manipulation into your life. If you don't set limits with them, they will drain you until there's nothing left. Setting boundaries doesn't mean cutting people off immediately or being harsh. It means communicating your limits with firmness and grace. It means being willing to say no without guilt and yes without resentment. Peace doesn't come from controlling the world around you. It comes from mastering the world within you. And that mastery begins with boundaries. You must give yourself permission to protect your mental space without apology. You don't owe access to everyone. You don't need to prove your worth through overexposure. You are allowed to disconnect from chaos so you can reconnect with calm. When your mental boundaries are strong, your peace becomes resilient. It becomes something no one can take away because it is guarded, honored, and preserved by the choices you make each day. In a world that constantly bombards us with noise, stimulation, and endless distraction, the value of silence and solitude is often overlooked. Many people fear being alone or sitting in quiet because it forces them to confront their thoughts, their emotions, and the parts of themselves they usually avoid. But those very moments of stillness are where the deepest clarity, healing, and strength are born. Silence is not emptiness. It is full of wisdom, insight, and renewal, if only we are willing to enter it with intention. Solitude does not mean isolation. It is not about cutting off relationships or hiding from life. Rather, it is about returning to yourself, to your core, your values, your inner compass. It is the time when your soul can breathe without the expectations, opinions, and judgments of the world pressing in on you. In solitude, you stop performing and start listening. You tune out the voices of others so you can finally hear your own. That voice, often buried under external pressure, holds the truth of who you are and what brings you peace. Modern life tends to equate productivity with movement and noise. If you're not busy, if you're not constantly interacting or engaging, it can feel like you're falling behind. But real growth does not always happen in action. It often happens in reflection. Just as the body needs rest to grow stronger, the mind needs quiet to process, restore, and recenter. Constant noise crowds the mental space and pushes peace to the margins. Silence makes room for peace to enter, and in silence, there is a natural unwinding. The nervous system relaxes, the heartbeat slows, the racing thoughts begin to fade. It is in these moments that you gain perspective. The problem that seemed overwhelming might begin to shrink. The decision you couldn't make suddenly becomes clear. The wound that hurt so badly starts to heal. None of this requires words. Only your presence, your willingness to be still, and your trust that peace often speaks without a sound. Many people think that strength is measured by how much you can endure in the face of noise, conflict, and pressure. The true strength is found in the ability to walk away from chaos and protect your calm. The person who knows how to return to silence in a world full of shouting is not weak. They are wise. They've discovered that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every opinion is worth engaging. Their solitude is not loneliness, it's power. It's the quiet power of self-awareness and self-preservation. Moments of solitude also help you to reset emotionally. When you're constantly surrounded by other people's energy, it's easy to absorb their stress, their fears, their urgency. But when you take time alone, you can detox your mind. You can let go of what's not yours to carry. You can distinguish your voice from the noise. This emotional reset strengthens your boundaries and helps you return to the world with clarity and intention. Silence is also the space where creativity and inspiration thrive. Ideas that were once blocked begin to flow. Solutions you couldn't see before begin to surface. The silence is not empty, it is rich with potential. It teaches you to listen not just to yourself, but to the deeper wisdom within. You begin to realize that peace is not something you chase, it's something you return to. And the path back is often paved with stillness. So embrace solitude, seek silence. Not just when life is easy, but especially when it's loud. It's not weakness to step away. It's wisdom. In those quiet moments, you are not doing nothing. You are healing. You are remembering. You are strengthening your inner foundation so that no matter what noise surrounds you, your peace remains unshaken. Detachment is often misunderstood. Many people believe it means not caring, becoming cold, or being emotionally distant. But true detachment is not about indifference. It's about freedom. It is the ability to stay centered and grounded even when the world around you it is the skill of witnessing a situation clearly without getting lost in it, of holding space for love and compassion without letting your peace be stolen in the process. Detachment allows you to stay fully present and engaged, but without allowing external events or people to shake your core. To be detached is not to be numb. It is to feel deeply, but with clarity and self-control. It is to love others without becoming dependent on their actions for your happiness. It is to care about what happens in life without becoming consumed by outcomes you cannot control. Detachment creates emotional stability because it breaks the illusion that your peace depends on perfect conditions. It teaches you that inner peace is not the absence of emotion, but the presence of discipline. When you are attached to specific outcomes, people's opinions, or the need for constant approval, you become a slave to uncertainty. If things don't go your way, your mind spirals. If someone disapproves of you, your confidence crumbles. If a relationship shifts, you feel lost. But when you practice detachment, you begin to understand that your worth is not rooted in external affirmation. You begin to trust that you are whole and grounded no matter what changes around you. This mindset doesn't distance you from life. It empowers you to move through life with a greater sense of detachment. Gives you room to breathe. It creates space between you and your emotions, allowing you to respond with wisdom rather than react with impulse. For example, when someone criticizes you, detachment helps you see the comment as information, not an attack on your identity. You can evaluate it, learn from it if needed, and discard it if it doesn't serve you. Without detachment, that same comment could trigger hours or even days of anxiety, doubt, or resentment. Detachment puts you back in control. Relationships especially benefit from healthy detachment. When you love someone with attachment, you may try to control them, fix them, or carry their emotional burdens. You might lose yourself in their moods or take their actions personally. But when you love someone with attachment, you give them the freedom to be who they are, while still holding on to your own peace. You support them without losing yourself. You show up fully without expecting them to complete or define you. Detachment also strengthens your decision-making. When you're overly attached to a particular result, fear often clouds your judgment. You make choices based on desperation or anxiety rather than truth. But when you're detached, you can act with clarity, even when the future is uncertain. You do your best. Let go of what you cannot control and rest in the peace that whatever unfolds, you will handle it. You stop clinging and you start flowing. This is not easy. It requires practice, self-awareness, and the courage to let go. You will still care. You will still feel. But you will no longer be ruled by external circumstances. You will rise above the chaos rather than drown in it. Detachment is not coldness, it is calm. It is the realization that peace is too valuable to hand over to things you cannot predict or possess. When you master the art of detachment, your relationships become healthier, your mind becomes quieter, and your soul becomes lighter. You become like a tree with deep roots, flexible in the wind, but never uprooted. This is the strength of detachment. This is the way to guard your peace while still living with passion, purpose, and presence. Inner peace is not a one-time achievement or a destination you arrive at and then never have to think about again. It is a continual practice, a discipline that must be nurtured daily. Many people chase peace as if it's something they'll eventually find once life becomes perfect, once all problems disappear, once people behave the way they want them to. But that kind of peace is an illusion, because life will never be free of challenges. Circumstances will shift. People will disappoint. Difficulties will arise. True inner peace comes not from waiting for stillness around you, but from cultivating stillness within you, regardless of what's happening outside. This kind of peace requires effort. Just as physical fitness comes through regular exercise and healthy habits, mental and emotional peace comes from intentional practices. It's not passive. You don't stumble into it accidentally. You must decide every day that your peace is worth protecting. That means learning to notice the small things that rob you of calm. The overthinking, the pointless arguments, the grudges you carry, the news you consume without pause. These things may seem minor in the moment, but over time they create a storm within. The discipline of peace is choosing to let go when your mind wants to hold on. It's choosing silence when your ego wants to speak. It's choosing reflection when the world wants your reaction. One of the most powerful truths about inner peace is that it lives in the present moment. So many people feel disturbed, anxious, or unsettled because they're living in the past or trying to control the future. They carry regret, guilt, or resentment from yesterday. Or they worry about things that haven't happened yet. But peace doesn't exist in those places. It can only be found right now, in the breath you're taking, in the space you're in the awareness of what you can and cannot control. Practicing presence is one of the cornerstones of lasting peace. Peace also requires boundaries, both internal and external. Internal, you must set boundaries with your own thoughts. You have to catch the negative spirals before they consume you. You have to challenge the beliefs that say you're not enough, or that you must fix everything, or that peace is only possible once life is perfect. Externally, you must be willing to protect your time, your energy, and your mental space from things and people that disrupt your well-being. This isn't selfishness, it's self-respect. When you protect your peace, you show up better for yourself and for others. There will be days when you feel deeply centered and calm, and other days when you feel like you're losing your grip. That's normal. Inner peace is not about perfection. It's about persistence. The key is to return. When you get pulled away from your center, you gently return. When your mind wanders, you bring it back. When life becomes overwhelming, you pause, you breathe, and you come back to the practices that ground you. It might be prayer, meditation, journaling, nature walks, deep breathing, or quiet reflection. These tools are not luxuries, they are lifelines. They are the ways we rebuild peace one day at a time. Over time, as this practice becomes consistent, peace becomes less fragile. It becomes your default state, not something you have to search for in moments of chaos. You learn to carry calm with you. People may still behave badly. Situations may still get messy, but you become someone who knows how to return to stillness, who knows how to find quiet even in the noise. That is the art of peace. It's not found by accident, and it's not kept without care. It's a lifelong journey, but one that's worth every step. Inner peace is not a distant dream or a reward for perfect living. It is a daily choice, a cultivated discipline, and a reflection of how well you guard your inner world. In learning that your mind is the gatekeeper of your experience, you take the first step toward peace by understanding that your reactions are choices and not obligations. You reclaim your emotional freedom. Through the practice of setting clear mental boundaries, you protect your sacred inner space. By embracing silence and solitude, you reconnect with your truest self. Through healthy detachment, you rise above the chaos without losing your compassion. And in treating peace as a lifelong practice rather than a one-time destination, you train your soul to remain calm in every storm. The art of inner peace is not about escaping life. It is about engaging with life from a place of power, balance. It is about being deeply rooted in who you are, so that no external wind can easily shake you. When you choose to guard your mind, to rise above reaction, and to return daily to your center, you build a life where peace is no longer a fleeting moment. It becomes your unshakable foundation. And when you master this art, no one, no matter how loud, toxic, or unpredictable, can disturb your mind again.